All right, picture this. You drive 7 hours to Germantown, Tennessee, which is a suburb of Memphis. You arrive at near midnight on a Friday night, and before you know it, when you walk into the Holiday Inn Express in Germantown, Pennsylvania, Germantown, Tennessee, you realize that while there are soccer families at the hotel that you're staying at, because you yourself are a member of a soccer family for a soccer tournament, there is also a clown convention at your hotel. And that's how I started last week. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pete the Planner Show. I'm Pete the Planner. Dame and Kristen join me as always, a.k.a. the queen of financial education and Flashlight McGee, the pocket flashlight man. You guys have both seen pictures of the clown convention that I sent you. Shockingly nightmarish, right?
100%.
Do the two of you have a problem with clowns?
We don't use the H word, Dame.
Mm-hmm.
Do you say I'm not fond of clowns. I do not like clowns. I often said to Sarah when I die, which any day now, I want a closed casket. I want people looking at me. I want a clown in the back of the room making balloon animals. And she's like, but you hate clowns. And I'm like, yeah, but it's my final ha-ha to everyone else. It's unbelievable. So anyway, this clown convention here, we're in Germantown, Tennessee. There's clowns all over the hotel, mainly elderly clowns. Like we're talking 75 and above, but there's some younger clowns, all men. There was a hospitality room that they would go and just drink their masks off. Like they were just drinking. At one point in the morning, I go downstairs for a breakfast at like 6 a.m. There's a shirtless clown trying to break into the hospitality room because he forgot his key to get more to drink. And the clowns were like in the lobby trying to talk to the kids. It was a nightmare.
At what point does a clown turn into a hobo?
Well, there were some hobo clowns.
Yeah.
By the way, Rochelle, with the greeting of, I think she's early running for Listener of the Year. Greetings, Kristen and company. Look, I'd be perfectly happy if this was called Kristen and Co.
Yes.
Kristen, did you see any clowns in the last 168 hours?
I did not know.
Oh yeah, Jacob gives the punchline here in Facebook live chat of one of the all-time greatest jokes of clowns is, does this taste funny to you? But we will not tell the setup to that one. It's not good. Kristen, big show here today on the Pete the Planner, Kristen and company experience.
It's always a big show, Pete.
It is when I learned the topic a minute before air. So, you guys, I have another big reveal I'm going to give between segment 1 and 2 that is a little bit shocking that neither of you know yet.
Okay.
Hi,
You're
J.O.
fired.
No, that's not it. There's some people here at our organization know this because of the last couple of days, but I will share some shocking information with you between segment 1 and 2. So it's with that we probably should get started because this information is so shocking you're going to want to hear it. And I will also note amazing fuel for both of you to make fun of me for quite some time.
Okay.
Right on.
Dame, you just lit up.
Yeah.
All right, now that's what I'm talking about. What's the first? Oh, got an email. Okay, that's the first segment. Let me set up. I'm in no big hurry today, Jeremiah.
Thank goodness.
Okay. We have new internet at our office as of yesterday. Somehow slower. I don't know how that works.
That's really nice.
Good move.
I don't know. Okay. In 3, 2, 1. This week on the Pete the Planner Show, we answer your money questions. Here's how the show works. You email us askpete@petetheplanner.com. That's askpete@petetheplanner.com, and we will answer your email. I used a plural, we, meaning Kristen Elanius, Director of Education at Your Moneyline, joins me as always, as does Damian Dunn, shining a light on personal finance. Dame, hello.
Hello, Pete.
Miscellaneous, hello.
Hello.
All right, so we got here are the topics for today, for the way I understand them. Number one, we are talking about a question about a 401k. Number two, we are talking about what are we doing?
Financial triage.
Financial triage. And then the third one, living a carless lifestyle. Living a carless lifestyle. So let's start with the email. Dame, could you do the honors?
I would love to. Dear Kristen and Company. What?
Huh?
Anyway. I work for a company that doesn't offer a match in their 401k, and I don't know if I should contribute there or do something else. The plan is with a regional bank, and the expenses are high-ish. The investment options are limited, just like any 401k. But I'm motivated to save and don't know where I should put my money. Thanks.
This is a classic. And there's other versions of this one, by the way, that let's answer both versions. Here, the first version is the one you heard. The second version is the match is only 3%. Should I put in more than 3%, which is another version of that. So, Kristen, I mean, the person addressed you, and you are sort of a big deal. So where shall we begin?
Well, this person, you said there's variations of this question. There's also different types of people that ask this question. This person says they're motivated to save. So, yeah, go look for a Roth IRA or maybe a traditional IRA if you want to have a pre-tax option. But if you're not motivated to save and you're not sure that you have the discipline to contribute to that IRA, even if the fees are higher, the 401k might be the better option.
That's interesting, Dame. For some reason this morning, I forgot about the motivation factor of that, but I think Kristen's right. I think there's another element to this too, is how much do you plan on contributing?
100%. Yeah.
If you're going to contribute 100%, that would be a lot, Dame.
It depends on how much you make.
Oh, sure.
If you are going to contribute more than whatever the IRA contribution limits are, which is, I believe, $6,500 this year, if I remember correctly, you're going to have to find something else to do, whether you stuff as much as you can into an IRA or Roth, maybe go back to the 401k, even though it's not your favorite. Maybe you start exploring other options. Maybe you've got an HSA that's available to you where you could really start putting some cash away, or maybe you open up a non-qualified brokerage account where you can make a regular automated contribution where you just it's out of your hands and you don't have to worry about moving that money by yourself every month. I think that's the key that Kristen kind of hit back on. If you're not the type of person who is going to be all over this and you are going to make sure that happens regularly, you got to look into automation, because you've already identified saving is something that you want to do. But if you're not going to be actively engaged in making sure you're hitting those goals, a little bit of automation goes a long way.
Yeah, Kristen, the automation part is sort of hard to turn down, no?
It is, and it's tricky because automation has become easier and easier. So Dame and I talked about where we keep our emergency savings last week or the week before, maybe, no one knows. And it's so easy to make those contributions, but it's so easy to go in. Like, I think mine even used to give me an email the day before that was like, hey, just a reminder, your contribution's happening soon. And it takes like 3 clicks to pause that month's contribution. So pros and cons to that accessibility.
Yeah, you know, a longtime listener of the show, Andy, I said long time to make myself feel well, but Andy is a regular listener to the show. She points out on Facebook Live, as we stream every Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern on Facebook Live as we record the show. She says, do you ask, and by the way, just Andy is a financial expert, right? So I think she's asking this just to help us stir up the conversation. She knows the answer to this. Do you ask about an emergency fund and or debt reduction before going straight to retirement? I think that's a really great question, especially for a 25-year-old, which I think this emailer was somewhere in that range. Dame, how do you address that? It's a great question. Which came first, the emergency fund or the retirement?
Yeah, there's got to be some level of stability built into someone's financial life, and that's going to look at emergency funds, maybe any outstanding debts. Let's make sure we're clearing the decks, that we're not going to get ourselves into a bigger issue down the line, even though we've got a great goal of saving for retirement up front. And sometimes it's really easy to be motivated to get behind that goal and maybe turn a blind eye to the other stuff. But there is, in general, a nice order to follow when you're setting up your financial life, which we might actually get into in the next segment.
Yeah. Okay. So, So I want to talk about this for a second. Let's say we got a 22-year-old just starting out of college or whatever, $50,000 a year job. They're going to commit 10% of their income towards doing a good thing. Okay. And let's also say they've got no money in their emergency fund. So let's talk about their first paycheck. In my opinion, which feels less valid as time goes by, not to sidetrack myself on a sidetrack, but never mind. I gotta think that first paycheck, you gotta at least do the match of your employer, which is unlikely to be 10%. It's going to be probably 3 or 6% or something like that. And then the remainder of that 10% you're allocating theoretically could go towards your emergency fund until it's full. And then you, or at least get $1,000, then go back and try to get to that 12 to 15% level. No, Kristen, what do you do?
I think that's so hard because it can be dangerous to not start out at that higher contribution level and
Yeah.
say, well, I'm making 50 now. When I make 60, then I'll do it. Or like when I make 65, then I'll do it. And Damien and I were talking a few weeks ago about one of the best pieces of financial advice that we were ever given. And it doesn't work for everyone, but one of the best pieces of financial advice that I was ever given was right before I started my first job out of college. One of my professors said, contribute what you want to contribute as a percentage to retirement because you've never had it and you'll never miss it. And I started doing that almost out of the gate. And I don't think that I would have been as successful in my approach to where I want to be from a retirement contribution perspective if I hadn't started out that way.
Well, you've heard me, Dame, real quick. You've heard me say before, my biggest regrets are 22 to 28, where I didn't take the advice of the professor. Dame?
Full disclosure, Kristen was in a college program that focused on finances. So it's easier to make that sort of statement to a group who's already focused on money. If you're talking to, almost any other department in the campus, you're probably going to have to give a little bit more specific instruction to it because, well, how much do I want to contribute to retirement when I'm 22? Nothing. I've got stuff to do. I've got student loans. I've got all this other stuff that's going to consume my money. It was easy advice for your professor, but it's maybe needs a little bit more sharp of a point on it for most people.
Can I give the piece of advice I really wanted to give about the 22-year-old starting out their financial life that's really out of touch? And that if we've got the wrong 22-year-old listening, we're going to get a bad iTunes review.
Excellent.
Yes. At some level, you could consider just putting all 10% into your 401k and then dipping into the gig economy for 3 months to fund that emergency fund and then dropping back out of the gig economy into form of DoorDash or Uber or something like that. How out of touch is that versus how practical is that?
I don't want to answer that question.
Well, there's your answer. Well, Dame, you're an old guy. You're an old curmudgeon like me. Who's more of a curmudgeon, you or me? We sort of have different curmudgeonly ways.
Yeah, we pair really nicely with each other. We make a total curmudgeon together.
Who are the Muppets guys up in the balcony?
Wilford and
I don't know.
That's not, no.
Coming up after the break, 2 curmudgeons and a lady right here on the Pete the Planner Show. 2 curmudgeons and a lady is a good name for a show.
No, I was saying that recall from an old show. That's what you said their names were the last time we talked about them.
Yeah, Statler and Waldorf.
Andrea knew. Of course she knew.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There it is.
You guys, I'm in a situation here right now that I find myself in a lot on this show. I glanced at my email inbox, and there's an email I really want to open. But if I open it, I'm done for the rest of the show. I won't be able to concentrate. But I really want to open it.
Wait until the last segment.
I don't know. I really want to open it. But I'm telling you, it would be amongst the most distracting emails I've ever opened. So I'm not going to do it.
I appreciate that.
I don't think. All right. Are you ready for me to tell myself a little bit? I just want to admit this is going to come off like a humble brag, but it's not meant to be. It's It's an awkward situation. I have an awkward situation I need to share.
Please do.
So I'm sitting in my basement with COVID 2 weeks ago, watching Yellowstone, the entire series. Basically a cowboy. At that point, I mean, I was wrangling pillows in my basement. I had steer roped our furnace. It was very impressive. And I received a text message from a friend of mine who is the editor of a magazine. Okay. And she says to me, hey, we're doing a money issue. Can I interview? Okay. Not a big deal.
Sure.
Not a big deal because, yeah, Kristen does. We all three of us have done that. Right?
Yeah.
Not a big deal. And she said, but as part of it, we would shoot you for the cover. And I was like, And there's another piece of information I need to share with you here that is why this is a weird thing. It's a fashion magazine.
I knew it.
So I
knew it.
So I am going this afternoon to be a cover model of a fashion magazine on Money. And I've been for about 48 hours. I don't know what I'm going to do with my face during this shoot. So if it's like a business magazine, I can look like it's a fashion magazine. So I don't know what to do with my face. Now, Kristen's a bit of a fashionista. We know this. We've seen her headshots. Inverse turtleneck. So they said, here's what they got. They're like, bring 3 outfits, wear whatever you want that feels like represents your brand or whatever. And so, Dame, you've known me for 5 years, and you have a sense of me before that. Previously on this show or whatever, I would go and I'd be suited up and I'd try to be like, I'm not there mentally right now. It's also a fashion magazine. If you buy a fashion magazine, do you want to see a weird bald man in a suit on the fashion magazine? So I'm like, I'm not going that direction. I'm wearing my puffin sweatshirt. I'm wearing this. For the podcasters, I am wearing my puffin. It's Hoodie Friday here at Your Money Line. I'm wearing it's a I don't know what this is. I want to say décolletage. That's the wrong word. The puffin doesn't have cleavage. I'm just like wearing I don't know. I'm so uncomfortable. I couldn't say. I mean, I could have said no, but she's a friend, and I didn't. You guys are going to get this photo and mock me, I feel.
Yes.
What's the circulation of this magazine?
It's a pretty prominent fashion magazine in the Midwest, at least. You know, it's got a pretty good footprint. I don't know.
What are your other 2 outfits you're taking?
A black turtleneck.
No, I'm not. I'm a white, like a off-white sweatshirt. You know, it sort of looks all right. And then like a black button-down casual shirt and jeans. And then I'm so uncomfortable.
Have you run these options by this person?
Nope.
She said bring 3.
She said big 3. And she's like, whatever. I'm like, well, whatever I can get down with. Now, here's the thing. I told my daughter about this a couple days ago. And she is mocking me incessantly and has now got her friend group mocking me. And then I hadn't told Mrs. Planner until last night, and she just busted out laughing and mocked me. Rick Swink makes up a really good point here. No fashion camo. You know, I didn't wear any fashion camo, but I thought about it. It just wasn't clean. I hadn't done the laundry. So anyway, I'm a fashion model.
Right on. Add it to the resume, honestly.
Sarah, I'm with you there. So wait a second. Here, Kristen, I want you to think about our organization that we all collectively work for here.
Okay.
And I don't know. Our HR is not in the room with me right now, so she's out skiing. We have an incredibly large amount of very attractive people on our team.
Mm-hmm.
I am not one of them. So the idea that I'm the cover model is in itself disconcerting. I got a top 5 list of who it should be here other than me.
You know, I just creeped your calendar and found the name.
Do not.
Yes.
Don't calendar snoop.
You do that.
I am the biggest calendar snoop here.
All I'm gonna say is you're gonna be okay. I'm looking at some of the other folks that they've featured on the cover previous the
See?
wardrobes, and you're gonna be okay.
Damien, are
See.
you sure you don't have anxiety? Because that was an anxiety girly move. Okay, let me look at the other series that they've done. That's what I would have done
Oh.
immediately.
I tried to convince my daughter last night that it's the body paint issue, and they were just gonna I was gonna be nude, and they're gonna body paint me, and she freaked out.
Well, they heard I'm
Uh,
a soccer coach, and I used to be an athlete.
Used to be is pretty strong. All right, that's enough of that. Oh Lord. All right, financial
What a
triage,
deal.
right?
Deal.
Okay, let's do it.
This is
What?
Kristen's bag.
Yeah. All right. Good. I can not work. I can just read email. 3, 2, 1. Back on the Pete the Planner show. From time to time, life kicks you in the neck. I don't know what that means. Sometimes your financial life gets wonky. Like something really bad goes on. You lose your job. You have an unexpected bill. You show up at a hotel. There's a clown convention. You need to book another hotel. Whatever. And so you may find yourself in the need of triage, financial triage. And so that's a thing. You need a strategy because we're all going to be there at some point in time, unfortunately. So to help us understand how you get your head around financial triage, we have the one and only Damien Dunn to introduce the one and only Kristen Elenius. Damien, take it away.
You know, every once in a while, life kicks you in the neck.
What? Yeah, that was funny.
That was very good.
Kristen, tell us a little bit about financial triage.
Well, we talk about financial triage from time to time. Get it together. I'm trying to do a show here. We talk about financial triage around here from time to time, but I wanted to kind of take the approach of kind of like the emailer that we talked about in the first segment of if you're setting up your financial life, technically you're triaging those dollars too. We just don't tend to think about it that way. So that's kind of what I wanted to walk through is if we're setting up financial stability, where do those dollars go? How do we prioritize them, triage them to set up for short, intermediate, and long-term stability?
All right. Well, let's have at it. What do I need to throw at you? Just the microphone?
No, well, I kind of have a hierarchy and I would like some pushback if the two of you don't necessarily agree with it.
Well, Damien and I have always been known for our reluctance to push back on you. So this might be a tough segment, but go right ahead.
It'll be good for me. Just be nice. Don't hurt my feelings too much. So
Yeah.
I think first things first is you have to be contributing retirement at least to the match, which we kind of talked about. And there's also a caveat here that you also have to be current on your outstanding obligations. We can't you have to pay your bills on time and things like that. But assuming that you're doing both of those things, I think the next thing is we talked about this a few weeks ago, which is the being an adult is expensive. So here's some money to fund me, the start of your emergency fund. I think that's the first thing.
Well, Dame, I don't know if I want to push back, but I want to explore the two constants or whatever you said. So the first one is you always have to hit the match.
I think
to start, even in crisis, absolute crisis.
No. You have to be, we're setting ourselves up for stability. And ideally, you unknowingly kind of have some stability. Because if you're in crisis, we're talking about a whole different level of triage.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, I think that's one of the confusing parts about when we say the word, triage your life. You immediately think something seriously wrong. We're in a crisis mode. And it's not the case in this situation. We are just trying to give you an order, a chassis to follow, if you will, of where your dollars should be going.
Is that right, Kristen?
Yeah.
You had a confused look on your face. I didn't know if it was that or
the metaphor. I didn't really follow, but that's okay.
Surprised I made a good point. I guess okay.
All right, Kristen, continue. I'm just going to be a listener at this point.
Okay, so you have to start with some level of emergency fund so that if there's an emergency, we're not relying on debt. For me, the next thing is high interest rate debt. So if you have credit card debt, some other unsecured obligation, a personal loan that you've taken to consolidate credit card debt, I think that's the next place.
Yeah, we've got some very important needs that need to be addressed there, and oftentimes it's going to be that debt that sits there and is outstanding. And if we can get our hands around that, that's going to start creating margin for us in other areas of our life.
I'd love to explore what are some examples of high interest rate debt. And I don't mean like, well, there's 27% and there's 28%. I don't mean that. I mean, it's all relative.
Sure.
We generally are not talking federal student loans. We could be talking some private student loans. We could be talking buy here, pay here, car lot, car loans. And we could obviously be talking about credit cards that are very expensive. Am I missing anything or circumventing any ideas?
No, I don't think so. The only one, and I kind of mentioned it, was if you have a personal loan, is probably double digit interest rate.
I don't think we have to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. And of course, payday loans if you have happened to go down that rat trap. I mean, no offense. I mean, yes, offense.
Yes, offense. Yeah.
Yes. And then this is where, if we're looking at these debts, something that I don't think that we explicitly talk about all the time, and I don't hear other people talking about it a lot, is kind of the exception to this rule for me is if you have a debt with a really large monthly payment that's nearly paid off, I actually would prefer you to look there. So the average car payment now for a new car is like $700. So if your car is nearly paid off and that's taking up a large chunk of your monthly income, okay, your interest rate might be 6 or 7%, but if it's taking up that much of your monthly income and we can get you that breathing room, we can free that margin, that might be where I suggest you start.
Yeah, Dame, that seems more art than science. No?
100%. There's a number of different ways to attack getting rid of debt. And we are a big fan of the momentum method, where you're going to order all of your debts and you're going to work on the ones with the smallest balances first and keep rolling from one to the next, to the next, to the next. It's not the most cost effective way, or it's not always the most cost effective way to do that, because we are ignoring the interest rates. So that's one way that you can pay off your debts. We know it's effective. Psychologically, it helps you get the ball rolling and get a couple quick wins and keep the thing moving forward. But there are strategic ways or artful ways, if you go with the Peter Dunn route, of being a little bit more tactical with your debt repayments. And if, as Kristen said, you are really, really close to paying off one that's going to free up a whole bunch of cash and help you either move on to another goal or pay off other debts faster, because now you have more money in your bank account to dedicate to that every month. Absolutely. If you don't know how to do it, or you need a way to start, go with one of the tried and true, whether it's momentum method or highest interest rate first, whatever that is. But if you can look at everything, organize it, lay it out, and say, you know what, I'm really close to getting that paid off, and that could be a huge benefit for me in a couple different areas of my life. Don't be afraid to set up your own plan. Just stick to it. That's the key.
Kristen, at the risk of hijacking your segment,
That's fine.
another thing I just thought of when you said that, Dame, is let's say that you are in public service. You're an educator, you're a nurse or a doctor at a nonprofit healthcare institution, and you are on the cusp of your 120 payments, or you have been on the cusp of your 120 payments. And during this period of time since March of 2020, in which there's been a 0% interest rate on your student loans and you have not been required to make a payment, the art would have said, don't make a payment. Do not make a payment during that time frame, because all of this payment-free period, each one of those periods, each one of those months counts towards your 120 payments, even though you haven't had to make a payment. So that's another example of, well, let's say your student loan was the highest interest rate, and so you paid on it. Or let's say your student loan was your only debt, so you paid on it. Or let's say your student loan was the lowest balance debt, so you paid on it. In all three scenarios under what I just said, you shouldn't have been paying anything strategically because of the art of how this works. Kristen, people hopefully had figured this out, but I don't feel like that's a majority factor.
I don't think so either, because the program is so confusing that there probably wasn't enough clarity in that space.
That makes me sad, because I feel like I have this dumb theory that isn't founded in anything, there are 2 financial breaks a person catches each year, right? They like you just catch a break generally about 2. This is like a third one. Like this whole student loan forgiveness thing in relation to nonprofit. This period of time, it's 36 payments, more than 36 payments will have been credited without needing to make a payment.
Mhm.
That's nuts.
It's a huge leap towards your 120. Yeah.
And that's all we have time for this segment. So coming up after the break, more on Financial Triage. I'm Pete the Planner. Blew by that by
Sorry.
5 seconds. No, it was Mr. Flappy Gums here.
It's like you kind of like stopped and I was like, am I supposed to say something? I think we're at the post.
No, my Lord, I am out of practice. Can I share another brief story from my trip to Memphis that was incredible?
Is it embarrassing?
No, it's remarkable.
Okay.
Last night at dinner, we as a family hadn't talked in a week, it seemed like, because we've had a little bit of chaos. And so we actually sat down and said, what was your favorite part of the past weekend? And here's mine. So I went to a place I've always wanted to go. It's the National Civil Rights Museum in downtown Memphis. And it's formed in the Lorraine Motel or Hotel, I believe, where Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, right outside room 306. And so they've turned the entire place and built around it, recreated the look of it. But then it's this Black History Museum, Civil Rights Museum, and it is unbelievable. It is one of the finest museums I've ever been to. Now, how did we get there as a soccer team from Indiana? One of the kids on my son's team, his father's the head of African American Studies at IU University. And so he's the department chair. So he set it up. He's, contributed to this museum. He's one of the foremost experts on the Black Panther Party. And so I'm walking around the museum with him
Neat.
at various times, and he is taking me to church. And I love expertise. I love the passion of expertise, right? And it was just amazing. I learned a lot. I can share some of those stories maybe later with you all individually if you're so interested, but there were some pretty remarkable things. But imagine being with one of the world's foremost experts on some of the topics at a museum, and you're talking about those topics. It was pretty wild.
That's cool.
That had been an amazing experience, I'm sure.
It was really cool. The boys they're all 10-year-old boys. I mean, they get a little squirrely, but it worked out pretty well. But it was a pretty powerful place. And then, of course, we went to Bass Pro inside of the pyramid there in Memphis, which, that was fun too.
Yeah.
Okay. Nothing like the Civil Rights Museum and then Bass Pro.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay. We ready for, what are we doing here? Kristen, is there more meat on that bone?
I mean, there is, but I kind of want to do the transportation thing.
We can punt till next week, or we can do, you know what? This is Kristen and Co. What are we doing? Your call.
I want to do the transportation thing. I thought it was a good idea.
Boss says it, Dame.
There we go.
Okay. My job. 3, 2, 1. Back on the Pete the Planner show. I daydream. I daydream of having hair, being taller, being fun. But mostly when I daydream financially, I daydream about this life I'm living that doesn't involve a car. I don't know. I'm not an eco warrior. I'm not overly concerned about the planet, although I am concerned. But I have this dream of living a car-free lifestyle. Maybe it's because my favorite city to be in is in New York City, in Manhattan, and I enjoy that as a tourist. Maybe there's some practicality in not owning a car. And I brought up this topic to Kristen, who is the host of Kristen and Company, the name of the show, and to Dame. And we thought, let's explore that. Now, Dame, your view of driving and my view of driving, to begin, are very different because you are what a person might call a car guy. You enjoy a good old fashioned drive. So let's start there.
Yeah, I like driving. I grew up driving all over the place with my dad. Got a lot of fond memories of that. I'm starting to do the same with my son. We're going on a couple trips this summer where we're just going with a big group and doing some great driving stuff. So when I think about driving, yes, there is a practical side to it, and it gets you from where you are to where you need to be. And being in, rural Midwest, it's pretty necessary because we can't just walk to the corner store. I guess we could, but we'd be in great shape if we did. But uh, there's a very practical component to transportation. But in my personal um, view, I really like driving. I would rather drive on vacation than fly in most cases. So the fact when I go on vacation or I go away for business and I'm stuck in a major metropolitan area, I hate driving in those places because I can't just get out and drive if I want to. It reduces it to that very practical A to B sense. So living a carless existence for me is hard for me to imagine. It's not something I would desire to do, but I will give you the caveat, Pete, that um, you see these idyllic pictures of little villages in Europe that have been there for hundreds and hundreds of years. I could get down with that for a while, where you just wake up and walk around town and get what you need and go about your business. That does have some appeal to me, but in general, uh, give me a big thirsty V8 and I can go drive for a couple hours.
I love it. But Kristen, before I pull you into this, or shall I say drag you into this,
Mhm.
Dave, can I ask a couple clarifying? You and I, again, the fun part of this show for you and me is you and I share a lot of sensibility. I can't understand what you're talking about here. When you talk about like just go for a drive, is speed involved? Is like hot cornering going on? Are you braking hard? What is happening that is like going for a drive?
Pete,
I say that with respect. I just don't understand.
that would be illegal and dangerous, and I would never do those things on public roads. But you just go out and enjoy. I enjoy all of those things, and a couple of the trips this summer may or may not include doing that on very beautiful roads, and I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, and sometimes it's just get out, cruise, enjoy the sunshine, coming through the windshield or you know whatever you've got, and sometimes it's hey, let's go have some fun and go through a quarter tank of gas in 30 minutes and go from there.
Okay, man, I'm hijacking this segment too. Dame, I got more questions.
Let me have them.
Maybe this is an off-there conversation. I'm just like and true. I asked all these with respect. I just don't understand. Okay, like so, are you like at 10 and 2, and are you like, or are you like palming the wheel? Or are you're listening to music? Are you talking to your kids about the birds and the like? What do you do?
I mean, it depends on kind of the focus of the drive. If you're out just cruising, you have one hand on the wheel. You might have them down like at 5 and 8, just kind of cruising along. You never done that? Like just depends on.
I don't know what's happening. I feel like
if I put you in the
alien.
If I put you in the car that I was driving, it would make more sense. But every once in a while, you're focused. The music is turned way down, and you are hauling, and you're focusing on doing what you need to do to have as much fun as possible.
All right, Kristen, let's drag you into this. A carless lifestyle, does it appeal to you?
It absolutely appeals to me because nothing about time spent on transportation appeals to me. I don't commute now. My commute is literally 16 seconds. And that's ideal for me. I don't want to be in the car. I get car sick, so that's like a whole nother thing. But I just view the whole thing as kind of respectfully, Damien, I view the whole thing as kind of a waste of time.
So
I don't like it.
Yeah, here's my thing. I did write a column in the Indianapolis Business Journal last week in their downtown Indianapolis issue about my regrets of not living downtown when I was young and had no people to drive to Memphis to a clown convention. And like for me, it's like wake up, go for a run, shower. Sorry about the imagery. Go to a coffee shop, and then walk or bike to work, and then you're grocery shopping downtown, and you're walking, and you're pushing a cart or something. You're going to eat downtown. If you need to go somewhere, you either Uber or maybe do like the electric rent-a-car thing. Like I just like this idea of a tight footprint that is walkable.
If I lived in a place where traffic was horrible, or at least much more than what I experience, or it took me a long time if it took me 45 minutes to get out into the country or somewhere where I could actually drive, I would probably have a view much similar to what yours is, Pete. But now it's just so accessible. And it's what I grew up doing with my dad. It's something that I enjoy and will probably look forward to doing as long as my kids will let me have the keys when I get older.
I have a slightly unfair question I'm going to ask Dame that does seem very judgmental.
Mhm.
When you're driving, do you woo? Are you like, woo? Do you do any of that?
It's not
Or is it
Thelma
there's
and
no-
Louise. It's not the Duke brothers. It's
Okay,
nothing
I
like
just
that.
had
It's
to
just-
ask. Sorry. Kristen, there's a financial side to this too. If 15% of your budget is set up,
No.
yeah.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Is there so much that goes into owning your car, your vehicle? You have to either buy it or pay monthly. You have insurance, you have plates, you have fuel. If you can eliminate all of those expenses, that's a lot of margin, Damien.
It's entertainment budget as well for me, as far as I'm
Okay.
concerned.
I get that, dude. Like, well, I mean, look, think about someone who enjoys beverages, adult beverages. It's like, yeah, hey, you can have some water, you can have some milk, but it's like, well, no, I'm taking the need of liquid and I'm taking it to a more expensive level. I don't view it any different than this from what you're saying, Dave.
Yeah, it's where you're going to prioritize your dollars. Now, assuming you're not going, crazy outlandish on certain things and really putting your financial stability and future at risk with how you're spending those dollars. To each their own. If you're going to choose to live in a bigger city where traffic is a thing, or maybe downtown, as Andy points out, one of our listeners, you're going to spend those dollars elsewhere. You're going to have some rent. You're going to pay more for housing probably than what the average person does up where I live and where people enjoy cars. But yeah, it's all preferences, man.
Kristen, how maybe it's off topic with 30 seconds left, so I don't miss the post yet again in the show. By 30 seconds, I mean a minute in 10 seconds. But Kristen, how often do you drive? Like, how many miles do you put in your car each week? And by car, I mean your truck.
Like 0. I don't use my vehicle at all. I probably put less than 5,000 miles a year on my car.
I see. I'm at this place, so I have a 6-mile commute either way, but it's the driving after work when I'm lugging my children around to trombone lessons or whatever. Yeah, Ted just got assigned the trombone for middle school, so that's going to be a delight.
Happy for you.
Thank you. That's where the chaos in my brain exists. Is all of the driving I do. Dame, you drive. But this is your point. You both enjoy it, but then from a practical standpoint, you do drive a lot.
Way more than which is weird. Way more than I wish I did in that respect. But I do. The driving is not what turns me off.
All right. Well, thank you for exploring this with me. Coming up after the break, the biggest waste of money of the week. We're not talking cars. We're talking boats. I'm Pete the Planner. I mean, look, I made up for missing the post with a pretty good outro there. I gotta be honest.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Pete, you and I can go for a drive sometime.
Okay. So I assume you like to give it a little.
I like a little spice on my drive.
I don't like being a passenger in that car. I've told you this.
I know
in a pace car in an IndyCar course, and they took it at full speed with me as a passenger in like what do they call 5-point harness, whatever. It was the worst moment of my life.
So you have no desire to do like that the 2-seat IndyCar?
In an oval, maybe, but not on a road course. The road course, I was terrified. I was
Really?
It was.
They're professionals.
They are, but it's just like I didn't like that. Guys, where do we start with me? Not fun. That's where you always start. Not fun. I think the car thing, if we're being honest, I think part of it is I hate parking so much, like trying to find a parking spot, that I feel like part of this is I don't ever have to find a parking spot again. And that's sexy.
Kristen, do you think you put what's the percentage of miles for your truck versus your golf cart?
Well, right now it's not a comparison,
Yeah,
but
in the summer.
in I probably, aside from the 2 long drives I had to do, or the 1 long drive I did last year, I would probably have to look to see if I put more miles on my bicycle than my car.
I said golf cart.
Yeah, but I don't think that that would be there because my golf cart's electric and it's really slow. You can't go very far.
How about golf cart and bicycle combined
Oh,
versus?
yeah.
Okay.
You guys, I just got sad. I looked over on my shelf behind me and I saw the bobblehead that you all, Damon, you were part of the bobblehead that you
I
guys
was.
got me.
Yeah.
That looked a lot like me when you guys bought it. And it, for those who can see it, has hair, which I
Yeah.
don't have anymore.
A beard.
Mm.
I mean, it really does look a lot like me. A deep V-neck T-shirt, like a divorcee.
Did look a lot like you.
Did look a lot like me. But if you, I don't know. As a fashion model, I'm sorry.
You're embracing the aging process, Pete. You're not going to go in for any work. You're just showing how you can age gracefully.
You know, that's an interesting topic, actually, is like plastic surgery or hair stuff. We've sort of talked about on the show, like, it's weird. Anytime I think about it, I think, well, for me, I wouldn't spend my money on that, and I would use that personally as a waste of money. But I'm not at a place where I would want to make a big blanket statement like that's a waste of money, because it's just a preference thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like driving
Like wine.
and wine. Yeah.
Kristen,
Tall,
what,
dark stranger.
are you shaking your head, facelift, Kristen? What's what are you?
I'm just shaking my head because I'm trying to convince my mom and my sister to, instead of buying each other birthday presents this year, that we'll do Botox. So
So
was just
many
like-
people I know do Botox. So many. I don't know. We can't. This cannot be a topic.
Isn't that like
I'm
hair
so
club for men though? You know, once you start Botox, you can't really stop.
yeah, because it's not like forever. So
Okay, I'm done with this. I'm sorry. I brought it up. I stuck.
it's your fault.
Everything's my fault.
hmm
Okay. The fashion model says move on. Here we go. In 3. Oh, not ready. Okay. Shh. Quiet down, Baldy. 3, 2, 1. This week's biggest waste of money of the week right here on the Pete the Planner Show is the G-Quest yacht concept. Measuring 215 meters, the G-Quest lives up to the Goliath series name. The Giga Yacht concept sets itself up as an expedition dream, providing plenty of lab space for research, experimentation, that's creepy, and medical intervention, and it's loaded with vehicles for exploration, including 6 hydrofoil tenders, 2 seaplanes, 3 jet skis, 2 helicopters, a U-Works research submarine, and a garage for 2 overland SUVs. The 3 upper decks are reserved for the owner and guests, offering 18 VIP cabins and a primary suite with a private balcony and pool. It also boasts 5-star amenities like a beach club, Turkish bath, 3 heated pools, yoga studio, which is different than a yogurt studio, and a 20-person theater. Propelled by azimuth thrusters powered by batteries, the vessel runs on green fuel and can reach a top speed of 20 knots. No one knows what that means. With a range of 20,000 nautical miles. Okay, Kristen, here's the problem for you. As I'd love to point out, you are amongst the most talented people in the world at many things. This happens to not be one of your sweet spots. However, I just get this feeling you're going to nail it this week.
Why would you say that?
I'm just telling you, I feel like you're going to nail it. So, Kristen, how much does the G-Quest yacht cost?
The G-Quest yacht costs hundreds of millions of dollars. The problem is I don't know how many hundred.
Okay, you can buy it. I mean, it is, you click, they'll build it.
Click.
What do you want?
Just a couple options and you're off.
What do you got?
It's not quite $1 billion. Is it? We'll go with my Bob Barker guess. It's like 999 million, and on and on and on.
Okay, Dame?
750 million.
I just want to point out that I'm right. It's 1 billion. Kristen was going to nail it. I knew she was going to nail it. I knew it.
That was good. Thank
It's
you.
$1
Thank
billion.
you.
All right.
With, how many billions do you, this is sort of a fair question. How many billions do you have to spend $1 billion? You could argue you could have 2 billion and spend $1 billion because $1 billion's so much money.
So much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because this isn't like, oh, how many thousands do you have to blow 1,000? You have to have a lot of thousands to blow 1,000.
Mhm.
Hmm.
My favorite thing about it is that of the things they listed, helicopters, planes, etc., they also listed the 20-person movie theater. That was a really nice touch.
I think so too. Dame, what's in the news this week?
A woman at an art fair in Miami made an expensive blunder when she broke a sculpture that was worth tens of thousands of dollars, according to reports. The Miami Herald reported that a woman in a VIP preview for Art Winwood broke a $42,000 porcelain sculpture by artist Jeff Koons Thursday. The sculpture in question was an electric blue balloon dog, which was part of a collection of balloon dogs by the artist. Fortunately for her, the gallery did not require her to pay the $42,000 for the sculpture. An art advisor said the work of art was insured. Here's where it gets crazy, Pete. Even though it was broken in pieces, it could still be worth a lot of money. The advisor told the Herald that Gamson offered to buy the balloon dog's remains for $15 million on the spot.
What?
Yeah, it was $42,000 in perfect working order, 15 million in pieces on the floor.
Okay, so do those numbers again. I stopped listening. I was looking at Kristen's incredulous look on her face.
$42,000 value when it was on its podium, however it was presented. After it was broken, $15 million. Now, do you think that woman broke it intentionally from the artist?
Ooh. Have you watched season 4 of You?
No.
Interesting.
Season 4 of what?
You, the Netflix
I've not watched
series?
season 4. No, I've watched the first 2 seasons, and then it started feeling like really creepy, and so I bailed.
4
Good
is
show,
better.
though. Okay.
But that's an interesting take. Was it on purpose to make the art more valuable? I don't know.
So did the woman that broke it? She's the one that offered to buy it for $15 million.
I don't think they named the woman. Actually, it was. You know what? I didn't include that part in my little.
Yeah,
synopsis there, Pete.
that's pretty wild. This reminds me of the Banksy photo that shredded itself,
Mhm.
or the Banksy painting that shredded itself at the auction, which was unbelievable performance art. I mean,
Yeah.
that's remarkable.
Kristen, have you not seen that video? It's amazing. You go after we're done. YouTube Banksy shredded art. It's crazy.
Okay.
What else? Wait, before we do this, it's an off the air thing. Dane, what else is in the news?
More parents are moving in with their younger adult children, and they're doing it while they're younger, healthier, and often still working. 1 in 4 Americans aged 25 to 34 lived with parents or older relatives as of 2021. That's not we expected that, Pete. We've had this conversation before.
1 of 4.
1 of 4 Americans 25 to 34 are living with older relatives as of 2021.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
We
for
knew
years.
that. The fastest growing segment in multi-general households, according to data from Pew Research Center, is that segment. However, most of this group is adult children moving back in with their parents, but a significant number of older adults are moving in with millennials. In 2021, 9% of multi-generational households were headed by 25 to 34-year-olds, up from 6% in 2001.
Wow.
Daycare.
Oh, I didn't get there.
Yeah, that could be.
What's the percentage now?
9%. So of those, of that 1 in 4 multi-general age households, 9% are headed by the 25 to 34-year-old. The
So I
parents
just
have
keep
moved in
thinking,
with them.
what part are motivated or inspired from a health perspective and a care perspective versus just cohabitation,
Some parents aren't waiting for retirement or urgent healthcare needs to move in with adult children. As the Pew data suggests, known as the reverse boomerang effect, the move is often driven by changing attitudes about family life, high housing costs, and challenges in finding affordable childcare.
Bingo.
Kristen, let's get awkward. You have your mom move in with you?
No.
Okay.
She watches this show. I've just hurt her feelings.
I know. That's why I asked. Dame, your mom tunes in from time to time. You having your mom move in with you?
Mom just got married, so no.
Hey, mazel tov.
Yeah.
I'm not answering that question. What else is in the news?
As COVID restrictions are lifted, airline profits are taking off. With borders open, some carriers were that were burning through cash a year ago are posting big profits. British Airways parent said Friday that it was in the black last year for the first time since the pandemic began. Singapore Airlines posted a near record profit for its last 9 months, and Qantas recorded pre-tax profits over the latest half year. The results are being driven by a combination of pent-up demand and cost cutting, with big boosts from government funds in many countries. With seats limited, carriers are still scrambling to hire staff and get planes back in the air. Fares are high, but passengers have been willing to pay. Kristen, is this trend going to slow down anytime soon?
No.
Pete?
No. This is where we're going. I've not flown in a while, which is sort of nice. But boy, the spring Pete the Planner show schedule is going to get pretty awkward. You're not going to see me a lot. So we do need to figure that out. Are you guys going to do the show solo without your boy, or am I going to call in from wherever? Like, we're going to have to figure this out. Before we leave this week's show, I do want to make an announcement that we actually haven't announced publicly here at Your Moneyline. Your Moneyline was named one of the best places to work in Indiana by the Indiana Chamber of Commerce. So if you want a job here, we're hiring. Go to yourmoneyline.com. Look at our jobs. I usually don't plug what we do here, but hey, being named one of the best employers in the state of Indiana, it doesn't stink. So, right? Feeling good, kids?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Good job to you both. Dame, by the way, exceptional show today. Dame, you were very funny. Very good show today.
Thank you.
Sending you good vibes. Good vibes are all that's in the budget. I'm Pete the Planner. This is the Pete the Planner show. Yeah, I was pleased with that. I know it's an award, so it's somewhat like a social construct, but
you should be happy with it, though. I mean, you've put a lot of time and effort and blood, sweat, and tears into what we do, and to be recognized as a great place to work in Indiana, it's great.
Yeah, I definitely feels I have a lot of pride in it, but it definitely feels like a team win here. I will say it's weird having been in business for a long time. Like, my two so far most gratifying moments are this, in a way, although I don't own responsibility for it, but I do have pride in it. And then when we all got health insurance, like, that was like, honestly, like, I don't know. Deal. It's a small business that isn't required to have health insurance, mind you, because we have less than 50 people. That seemed like a big deal. So those, good week, everybody. Thanks for contributing to being a good place to work. I mean, a best place to work. Yeah. Okay. Kristen, big plans this weekend?
Not this weekend, no.
No, jeez. No driving.
No. Oh, no driving. I mean, Purdue does play IU on Saturday.
It's going to be so annoying. I get so annoyed by that.
Why?
Why?
Because of IU fan.
Just don't get on social media, and you don't.
I'm not. You can't avoid. It's just a feeling in the air, and it's Central Indiana.
I agree.
You see the candy stripe pants, and people are just like, "Oh, we fell down by 30, and we came back." It's like, I don't care about any of it. Sorry.
Angry, sad IU fan. Social media is my favorite social media.
It's something.
Well, and there's even more pressure on this game because Purdue beat IU when they played, like, what is that, 3 weeks? Or, I mean, IU beat Purdue. Yeah. Was it 3 weeks ago, maybe? So this is their second meeting, but it's at Mackey. So
are you guys going to the we're doing a 500 Indy 500 practice day here with the squad. Are you guys coming down for that? Dame, you do love driving.
Me and my I don't have a ride yet for the show, but I'll probably bring my 72 quart cooler and just camp out in the infield.
Kristen, are you coming down to watch other people drive?
Maybe. I feel like if I decide to make this purchase that I want to make, I feel like that would be a good time, but
Yeah, I think it should. I think you should all the
We'll
way
see.
around.
Wait, am I missing something, or is this like part of the joke? Like,
inside
I don't-
baseball.
It's a conversation that Kristen and I are that I'm trying to convince her, corrupt her in certain automotive ways. And,
Don't do that. Don't listen to him.
It wasn't. He didn't. It wasn't. Already was on the hunt for something, and I posted it on social media, and Damien was like, "Yes, do that." So we'll
Buying a
see.
camper?
No, not
Okay.
currently.
Yeah, it's a thing. All right. That's it. We're done. This clown show is over.
Hmm.
I'm off to a photo shoot. Oh my God. What? Why? Why?
Let's not forget, you said yes.
True.
You know what this reminds me of? The time when I got in trouble for a Mrs. Planner, justifiably, when I came home late one night. I was like, hey, I got a work thing. She's like, okay. And we had 2 young kids. I get home. They're just, it's an S show. It's a clown show. It's just crazy. She was like, well, what was it you were at tonight?
Oh no.
And I was like, well, I was a celebrity judge at a pie contest. And she was like, what? Are you kidding me? And I was like, yes. And she was like, no, you weren't. So I was eating several pies as a celebrity judge at a pie contest while my wife was handling the spawn of my mere existence. Oh, it was terrible.
Do you remember what your favorite pie was?
I'm an apple pie guy, but I think there was a chocolate cream pie that was bussin', as the kids say.
Right on.
Oh my, what's wrong with me?
How much would it take for you to get a few of those magazines and autograph them and just like leave them laying around your
Don't.
house?
Stop.
Sign the cover.
Frame 'em.
I have so many feelings right now that are complex. None of them are really good feelings, but whatever. Anyway, hey, you know what? Say yes, everyone, and see what happens next. This is an inspirational message from a cover model. No, just like, hey, stay getting money.